The Nova Guest List Podcast
with Kieran McGuinness.
The very best in indie, alternative and homegrown music from the seriously addictive Radio Nova.
Yeah, and that is Lonely Winds by Mick Flannery and Susan O'Neill, that brilliant song from a couple of years ago on that album, In the Game. We're very, very lucky because Mick Flannery is back with a brand new album, Goodtime Charlie, which was released a couple of weeks ago now, and it's a pleasure to have Mick on the line. How you doing, Mick?
Oh, good. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, you had a gig last night in Dundalk, but nothing tonight, so that's nice.
Yeah, with a lot of disappointed people after the match last night. They kind of we watched the match as well. Like, the gig didn't start till 10 p.m. to play to the depressed audience.
I was going to say, someone said that they went to a comedy show last night and there was a load of people in Ireland jersey just miserable all the way through the comedy show. So not the ideal start for a gig. But you are on a pretty massive tour at the moment to support the album. But we'll chat about that shortly. But how does it feel to have it out? It's been 2 years since your last sort of mini album, I suppose, Night at the Opera, which kind of, I don't know, like a concept album, I suppose. What does it feel to have this one out?
It's good. It's like a much more of a proper album than the Chess one, the Night at the Opera one, because we recorded it properly, like in an actual studio. And it's like it's a good batch of songs that were kind of held over from around the time when myself and Susan were doing the In the Game album. Some of these songs are from that time which didn't fit the theme, and then a lot of the other ones were written during COVID lockdowns as well with other writers, because that time gave good opportunity to kind of mess around with things.
Yeah, I suppose one of the main kind of notable things about the album, you know, that the quality is really high, the strength of the songs is great, but there's a huge amount of collaborations on it. And I read somewhere that you did a load of online collaborations, and it's the most kind of co-writes you've ever had on an album. How did that? Yeah. Was that like a deliberate decision, or was it brought on by the circumstances of COVID and all that?
It was circumstance, really, just because we'd no gigs, you know, not a lot of opportunity to do pretty much anything, really. You could go for a walk. I mean, it's exactly the type of thing that people kind of self-impose. You know, you hear people say, "Oh, to write this album, I went into kind of lockdown in a cottage somewhere for 3 weeks." This was thrust upon everybody. Myself and a lot of the other people involved were just trying to make the best of the time. Myself and Anna Eggy in particular, we talked nearly every week about songs, and we wrote, I think, 13 songs in total. Wow. Nine of them ended up on her most recent album, and then 3 of them were made it onto this album of mine, and I think only one song in common.
So I suppose that's really interesting. When you go into an online collaborative session, so presumably sort of Zoom meeting, are you bringing a song in, or are you sitting there and trying to find something like from scratch?
Like with Anna, she had great ideas for like the concept of a song. She'd say, I would like to write a song about communication between a father and a daughter that's breaking down. She had a great way of bringing like a subject matter that you could grab a hold of. There's always, I guess, there has to be some kind of trigger to get you going. You know, rarely enough, like would a riff or a melody idea kind of be enough to kind of just strike. Well, I guess I'm talking for myself, really. I like to lean into the lyrical side of things, so I do kind of need to know what the song is going to be about. What I would vouch, or like would say is a kind of a handy quality of doing these things over Zoom, is that you can use these interfaces like so that you can just print your ideas in real time and the other person can read them. As opposed to an in-person co-writing session, you have to say your new piece of writing, which is often embarrassing, and you know it can be a drawback if you're a kind of shy person. You intone your new idea poorly, and without confidence. And that means a lot of your ideas you've shot them down yourself before they get a chance to be considered. But if you're just writing your ideas out, the other person sees them plainly for what they are and can make judgments, without some hyper modesty kind of blurring the lines of them,
Yeah.
If someone has an idea in a rhythm that you're not used to, or a tempo that you're not used to coming up with lyrics for, that can be very interesting, because it's an area where you wouldn't have landed yourself naturally. That's what I find most kind of valuable about these things, is I have my own kind of resting BPM and preferred keys, and I'm just drawn towards that area. So if someone else has a completely different approach, then you get to kind of mess around in their kind of tool shed,
Yeah.
So that gives you, it's especially useful for getting kind of a variety in an album then, because you've got different tempos arriving and different keys and different kind of rhythmical ideas to the vocal melody, for example.
Yeah, well, of course, because Goodtime Charlie is your 8th album, and you couldn't do the same thing for 8 albums. You'd have to mix it up, so it makes total sense.
Yeah.
Can I ask you about? There's a kind of a thing running through your albums, like from the first album, Evening Train, right to this, and quite notably in this, is the kind of working man's blues. It's the kind of stories about, train operators, or machine operators, or stonemasons, or whatever. And in this one, there's a car mechanic. Why is that such a draw to you? Is it? I have a theory, but what do you think?
Well, I don't know if I have a deliberate thing about it. I try to keep things quite simple. And oftentimes if you are writing about some type of struggle, it's kind of hard to write a song about a hyper privileged person who's gone for a game of golf today. There has to be some kind of meat on it. What is your theory?
Well, I see, one of the things about my songwriting is that I always think that it's like a job, it's like a craft, it's like a skill. It's like the town stonemason. It's like a person in the town who devotes their life to that, and the mess that occurs around that is sometimes the outside interactions. It's like having to sell yourself, having to do all those kind of other jobs which aren't in this kind of wheelhouse. And the first line in this album is, "Please don't bother me, I've got work to do." And I think that kind of ties in with that idea of being the craftsman. Writing the songs. What do you think?
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. Yeah. I guess I don't know. I wouldn't really know how to. It could be an interesting project to write a song from the point of view of some kind of high class lawyer that we're all kind of programmed to hate. To try and get that person some empathy might be a challenge. I guess the simpler the story, the more everyone can relate to it. I'm not I don't really know.
Yeah. Well, look, no, that's fine. Well, look, the album is great. Listen, I think on this one especially, I'm hearing a lot of kind of Americana mixed in with your usual kind of feel. Sounds like the band and Bob Dylan and stuff like that. Again, was that a direction, or was it just where all the influences that you were working with kind of led you?
Yeah, it was that. It was the second. I don't remember an exact kind of motivation for any of it. The song that you mentioned with the opening line, that one just kind of fell into that zone of the kind of the band sounding area because of where it ended up going melodically. Yeah, there's a song called The Fact and the song called Minnesota that, because they mention American place names, they kind of get drawn into an American sound almost. But like that type of sound has been always my kind of influence. I grew up listening to Tom Waits and Bob Dylan and the band, and kind of Johnny Cash and all, like Leonard Cohen and Jim Croce. I know I'm mentioning a lot of Canadians there. But,
some of the finest Americana artists.
Yeah, so that was the type of soundscape that I was kind of dealing with, mixed with the kind of lyrical intent of storytelling. That was always the way I was kind of heading. And I do get sometimes embarrassed by how many American place names are in my songs, as opposed to like how many. Like I don't think I have any Irish place names. Maybe Mayfield in Cork featured once, but I think apart from that, I don't have that many.
Well, there you go. There's you could do a Sufjan Stevens style an album for every county or something coming up.
Yeah.
That could be next. Look, Mick Flannery, thank you so much for chatting to us about Goodtime Charlie. It's a great listen. Go and check it out. It's out now, and you're going to be on tour, and loads of great tour dates coming up. Everything from where are we now? Wexford and Killarney and Connolly's of Lepp and Clonakilty on the way. So go and check out those. Mick, best of luck with the album.
Thank you very much. Nice to talk to you.
Yeah, pleasure to chat to you. Let's play something new. This is a song called Young off the new album Goodtime Charlie by Mick Flannery. It's Radio Nova.
The Nova Guest List Podcast with Kieran McGuinness. The very best in indie, alternative and homegrown music from the seriously addictive Radio Nova.